Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Middlebrotha podcast. I'm your host, Octavius, also known as the Urban Thinker. We have a great guest today. This is a young king that I've known for a very long time now. We have an alpha man, future educator, proud product of the School District of Philadelphia, like myself, an education advocate. Brother, if you can introduce yourself, please do.
Yeah, first and foremost, thanks for having me, man. This has been a long time coming. I remember our in-depth conversations about you jumping into this work and creating a space not only for Black men to speak, but for Black men to vibe and listen and learn from each other. But yeah, long story short, you hit the main bullet points, but for those who I haven't met, I am a proud alpha man. Serving as the 61st Eastern Regional Assistant Vice President and General Officer for the Board of Directors for Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, the first, let me make it clear, the first intercollegiate African-American fraternity ever created. But beyond all of that, I'm a Southwest Philly native, proud product as our good brothers here at the School District of Philadelphia through the good, bad, and ugly. And we'll be teaching 8th grade students, 8th grade melanated students, social studies and English in West Philadelphia come August 29th. So I'm excited to be here as always, but through all of this, I'm hoping to learn and also share, right? Because this is an opportunity. I say you had Elijah on here last time, man, that the impact that this is having is beyond imaginable. So I'm excited.
Thanks, good brother. I appreciate you for saying that. We're just going to jump right into the first question we got, brother. So what's one thing you love about being a Black man?
The universal head nod. And that's such a cliche, right? It might be such a cliche. But when you stop experiencing it for a while, I went to a PWI at American University, just like you, man. We went to these PWIs, and when you can't walk around campus and give that universal, like, what's up, without even having to speak, or that automatic of, like, you looking at each other when somebody says something goofy in the classroom and you like, they really just say that? That's the most enjoyable part, man. That is the unspoken language of a Black man is probably my favorite.
I'm glad you said unspoken. Because a lot of people always talk about nonverbals, this, that, how to communicate with nonverbals. And I think as Black men, some Black women know how to do it as well, too, as far as how to greet Black men, how to approach Black men. But another Black man to another Black man just saying, what's up? Not even what's up, just like,
just acknowledging the presence.
It depends on how you do it. It's like, what's up? I know you. If you do the little head nod, that means I don't know you, but I see you.
Big facts.
It's like, King, I see you. I appreciate you. You have a good day. And it's like, for me, one thing I love about us, we got too much swag for a lot of people. To where it's like, we can't, they got to take it. If you understand what I'm saying. We got too much. We're too smooth. We're too cool. We're too honest. We're too unapologetically us. And I think that's one thing that I love about us. When it comes down to a point where you can say what you need to say and be done.
And keep on moving with it.
And keep it moving. And I think when you're in a room, it's that mystery factor, that unique factor that we have. I know you said you went to a PWI. I went to one as well. And just that thought of, who is this? What is he going to say? Does he know X, Y, and Z? Can he explain himself? Can he talk? And when you do those things, now what? But I know there's a couple things that I would love to just dive deep into with you when it comes down to yourself, family, how you move in certain spaces. We definitely going to get into that. But we're going to go into the den with you. We're going to do discovery, exploration, and navigation. So the first one I got for you, at what moment did you discover your Blackness?
At what moment I discovered my blackness? I think the moment I won't even. I think I discovered my blackness just like so many other Black boys and girls, honestly, in the midst of trauma, right? I still reflect back to being in West Philly on 53rd and Delancey, being upstairs when the ruling that George Zimmerman wasn't going to jail, right? That was one, right? But that's a glimpse.
Yeah.
The one I remember most is Tamir Rice.
Yeah.
Right? We bear the same name, the same spelling of it. And I think that's when I really discovered my blackness, right? Of like, many people see you as a threat. And that was a new reality for me, right? Growing up around all Black people, you know, you just, you felt it was normal. I wasn't of age to drive or anything, so I was chilling. But I think that's when I discovered it. And like I said, so many, I think, Black boys and girls discover their blackness in the midst of trauma, sadly, and not in the midst of joy or even aspiration to find it. It's usually in the midst of this trauma that's plaguing our country.
I'm glad that you said that, because we've had a lot of people on that have said things like that.
Yeah.
Not in that way, but they said in the way of, it was trauma around me knowing who I am and what color my skin is. I think that's a big thing, because the fact that you said joy, that's one thing that we are missing as young Black people. We're missing joy because we're always either trying to survive, react, or put Band-Aids on certain things. And that's a hard way to live, brother. This is really a hard way to live for some people. And just hearing some young people that say, well, I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to do this. I'm like, I wasn't even thinking about that when I was in high school. And it's just, you know, you get emotional when you got a young person sitting in front of you saying, I have to provide for my family. But you also have, when you say we bear the same name, and you have young people saying, will I be the next one? Like, that's scary for some young people to say. And it's heartbreaking as well, because you have some 12-year-olds that I've heard say it. And I know in the spaces that you're in, you said you're going to be teaching some young Black men, some young Black women. Through those emotions that I expressed to you, I know there'll be some emotions that you have, some emotions that these young people will face in this space of, am I the next one? I'm going through X, Y, and Z. I don't know how to express myself. So one question I do have is, how do you explore your feelings when it gets down to those moments of either overthinking, anxiety, or just depression, just those words that you hear people say all the time that some Black men and women go through?
Yeah, I think, truthfully, I'm still learning that, right? I think I am in a space of figuring out what dealing with trauma, anxiety, anger, frustration, depression, all of the terms, what does it look like, feel like, and how do you navigate it, right? So I do go to therapy every week. That is one thing that has been a start for me, right? Of going to a dope Black male therapist who understands the trauma that we experience as Black men, but even more so, I would expand Black men in urban cities in a different type situation. But also, I've I went for a run this morning, and I've also been feeling like being in a space of movement that is calm, relaxing. Went up the trail with a guy who I usually try to run with. He keeps me going because he's way more fit, and I'm like, all right, I got to run this one more mile. But it's also a space of being able to reflect and have conversations And as I'm thinking, right, my biggest fear now is how do I ensure that the space that I'm going in as an educator, while I
Mm-hmm.
bring those feelings, that I'm bringing my full self to the classroom, but also not inflicting more trauma on the students, and ensure
Yeah.
that they have a space to navigate and have their feelings,
Mm-hmm.
which is a new thing that I've never had to do before. So
Yeah.
it's a I'm sure there will be another shooting of an unarmed black man or
Mm-hmm.
black woman. Um, so I gotta have to be prepared to navigate that, even with the anger I feel. How do I still show up for my students as they are
Yeah.
feeling that anger? As we
Mm-hmm.
are seeing gun violence in Philly run
Yeah.
rapid, and I'm not even just gonna say Philly, across the country.
Mm-hmm.
How do I ensure that I am telling them that, hey, the city may not want to see you the next day, but I want to see you the next day. I expect to
Mm-hmm.
see you the next day. I
Yeah.
expect when you leave my classroom Friday, when you come back on Monday, I want to see you in the same position, being
Mm-hmm.
able to do the same things or more inside the classroom Monday morning. So, yeah, that was a lot, but it all comes out when
No,
we
you
talk
good.
about the feelings and exploring and dealing with all of those things you've listed.
Yeah. I think that's it's key. Um, we have a lot of brothers on that talked about therapy. They talked about running. They talked about getting in shape. For me, my outlet is music.
Hey,
I'm trying to get in the space of therapy. When I say trying, that means I'm still trying to gather myself into that space, still trying to understand who I am before I get into that space. I know there's some things that they will unpack for me. Um, but it's also the understanding of when I listen to music or when I'm watching YouTube or watching anything, the man upstairs allows me, and then also prayer as well.
about it.
Um, the man upstairs allows me to either hear a certain song. My Spotify that I share with my fiance goes on shuffle, and I think it's about 3 songs that he'll put in a row. That's either telling me, "Hey, brother, it's either you need to sit down and relax. You need to get a better understanding of who you are." But then there's also the turn up song that you got to turn on. Like it
Oh
goes
man.
in that flow, and he knows I like to dance. A lot of people know that I like to dance, bro. I'll turn on some music and blast it and just dance because my great grandmother, Gramps, she passed a while ago, but she loved to watch me dance and it made her smile. And I think that was one thing that I just kept going on. When she passed, I just had to do it for myself
Yeah.
because I knew she would be smiling down on me. And then also just being able to just sit and be, because a lot of people in our space in our world are not able to be because they're always thinking like, I have to get this done, I have to do this. We don't get a chance to just sit. And I
Facts.
think that's the space that I'm in right now, of just being in the space that I'm in, not thinking about the future, not bringing up the past, just staying in the present and allowing my journey to get to that point. Um, and I've had a lot of black men like yourself. You've helped me in certain places, certain ways.
Likewise.
A lot of people think young black men can't help older black men, even though I'm not that much older than you, but it's still like I'm 29. Like you just recently graduated from college. So it's like
Yeah.
you can learn from anybody. So in this space of navigation, the way I navigated was a little, um, I would say cautious, but also at an understanding with a level of confidence as well. So I had a lot of black men in my space. You are one of them. That allowed me to see greatness, allowed me to see some pitfalls, allowed me to see, okay, he's a work in progress right now. He's learning himself right now. We have to allow him to learn. So for you,
Literally.
in this space of just learning, navigating, who did you learn from and how did you navigate this world from being Tamir at SLA to Tamir right now, brother Alpha Man?
Oh man. There's a Rolodex of names, right? And we used to spend many hours in City Hall,
Oh yeah.
really exploring what it means to be a black man, but also what is just life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so gotta give you that one. But I think there's also just Man, I'm trying to just rattle off names. And for me, it's like in different spaces, right?
Yeah.
Sterling Grimes, who's an educator, who's my big brother, who's also frat.
Yeah.
To people even now where I think of, like you said, people that are younger than you can learn from. Horace Ryan, who you had on, right? That's my guy. Literally getting brunch with him after this. It was just like being able to learn from him in spaces, right? Of like, okay, Tamir, you have not figured out that part. How do you navigate? How do you, like you said, be okay with just being? And I think from SLA to now, right? Lots of reflections, lots of long nights, lots of tears, lots of frustration, lots of imposter syndrome.
Talk about it.
But also a lot of figuring out what is joy, right? Like you talked about dancing, man. If you you give me some good music, and a dance floor, I will be out there to the last song, and might even request one additional. But also, just Priya knows this and way too well, and it brings her laughter some days, and some days a headache and frustration. But you play the right song. I'm yelling it to the top of my lungs in the car. We doing car karaoke.
Tell them again.
Give me the water bottle, and I'm acting like it's the microphone. But it's those situations, right? I think oftentimes we hear like, well, you went from high school to graduating, now I'm going to grad school, being a teacher, all of these great things. What's the story, right? Many people want the story of like, I studied every day, I called mentors, I wrote these papers. Nah, I didn't do homework after 10 p.m. I asked for extensions. I asked professors, I said, hey, I'm not a good test taker. Can we have an alternative exam? Sometimes you get yes, sometimes you get no. But until you ask, you won't know, right? You mentioned prayer. You ask and you pray to the Lord for something, you better be ready for when He delivers it. So it's all of those things. Like it's Sunday, man. We ain't gonna go that far. But it's all of those things coming together that made me and allowed me to learn and learn from so many people, even people that I've never met, right? The people that's on TikTok that people are like, oh, you shouldn't pay attention. Nah, they spitting something that's preparing us for our next journey and our next story.
Okay. I do want you to elaborate more on imposter syndrome, because that's one thing that some brothers, they go through. And I don't think a lot of brothers know how to equate imposter syndrome to what they're going through right now, or even what's going on.
Yeah, I look back to my freshman and sophomore year, specifically of high school, right? Of college, I'm sorry. We'll go college and then even in the professional space of that. You are sitting in a classroom where you know the content, right? We were sitting in ed psychology talking about Chris Emden, talking about his book, for the white folks are teaching the hood and for the rest of y'all too. Man, I know this book. I've heard Emden speak. I watch videos. Like, I'm a Chris Emden fan.
Yeah.
But I'm sitting in this class and the professor asks a question. I'm like, no, your answer's wrong. Then, the joyous white person who only read the one part of the quote gives the answer. And I'm like, your answer's right, but you missing some key parts of what Emden is saying. I had to sit there and be like, you didn't say the answer because you felt as though you weren't right. When you are one of two Black people sitting in a classroom, right? When you are in a space and you ask yourself, should you be there? Right? That is that feeling of imposter syndrome. When you're at work and you want to say per your last email, but you are not sure if your answer's right, but you know your answer's right deep down inside, but your brain is like, nah, that might not be right. Gee, sit down, fall back. That's imposter syndrome, right? And there's this notion that Black folks only feel it in white spaces. Now, Black folks feel it in Black spaces as well.
Yes, they do.
And until we grapple with the understanding of how do you bring your authentic self and not in a weaponized way, we're never going to move forward, right? And we're always going to have it. And I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, imposter syndrome is just going to go away, right? But we have to be confident and stand 10 toes down.
Yeah.
And remember the crown that we have on our head, and not allow folks to tilt the crown when they want to throw a dodgeball or throw a punch. We got to be understanding that in those situations, as G. Herbo said, right, regardless if I do good or bad, I lay in my bed and say some other words, right? Yeah. We got to be ready for that. And that's where I think when we talk about imposter syndrome and how you start to navigate, how you get over it, I woke up every day from freshman and junior year with a quote on my desk in my dorm. You have a crown on your head. Don't allow anyone to tilt it, ... specifically them white folk. Right? And that's what the imposter syndrome is, feel like, looks like, how you start to G Herbo it.
Yeah, I feel you. I feel like at some point we're all wearing certain masks at some point. And it gets to a point in life where you just say, you know what? I got on 5 different masks for just one day. And at some point I have to take these off because I'm hiding. I'm not being my authentic self.
Facts.
I am not feeling good. I'm not sleeping at night. So it's a lot of things that you just got to take those layers off and be like, look, this is me. And you have to accept that you're enough. I had a brother, Donovan West. He talked to me a couple of days ago. He said, I had to recognize that God is telling me that I am enough. And I have to accept it. And when you take those masks off, you have to accept the person as you see in the mirror. And that's it. A lot of other people do not have to accept the person that you see. They don't.
Oh, well.
Because it's not there. It's not them to tell you, I accept you, you're enough. It's for him to tell you.
Facts.
And when you get that feeling of, I am enough, God, I hear you. Now you can move in certain spaces with confidence. You can move in certain spaces with an understanding of who you are and allow people to see, I am at this table. I am Octavius Blount. I am Tamir Harper.
Yeah.
This is who I am. This is how I'm going to come to this table. And then people, quote unquote, can respect you to a point. And I think it gets to a point where, like I always say, when you wear too many hats, when you wear too many masks, that real one going to come out at some point. You're going to get frustrated. And good brother Jack Drummond, he also talked about that fire that we have in us, even though we still have it. He said, I still got it to this day. It's just a sense of fire that we have. When we get into a space and we feel like we need to advocate more, we need to do this more, we need to do that more, it comes out. So I know, good brother, you've been in certain spaces that I've seen you do your work, and a lot of people have frustrated you. And it got to a point where it's like, hey, brother, just relax. You said the right thing. Sometimes you need that brother in your corner to be like, you said the right thing. You don't need to explain yourself. You don't need to elaborate. So with all these hats that you do have, all these good hats that may be frustrating, that may be good, because I know you're a son, you are in a relationship, you do have alpha hats that you wear. You also have a product of the school district of Philadelphia. But I do want to ask the question, how do you represent those identities when you walk into certain spaces? Are you wearing all your hats? Are you wearing one before you walk in? Do you take one off at any point?
Each day is different.
I feel you.
If I had enough sleep and some food in the morning and had the right Spotify going, it might be one hat. If not, you may catch a few different ones, right? It also becomes of what's happening outside of that space, right? Where I even reflect now of when work, alpha, when the city, when any of the hats I wear is have a lot going on, and I go into another space that doesn't have anything to do with those hats, that frustration, that overwhelmingness from those other hats come in, right? And that's when that's when I'm a bit more short-tempered, right? That's probably when I'm a bit more direct, right? We had during my term as AVP, I had a brother named Shane Richmond, who was my assistant executive director, and he would travel with me through the region, right? And he knew, Tamir's social battery's done. Tamir's thinking about 5 other things, and people are throwing this at him. We need, Tamir, we're going to dip over here real quick because you're going to say something to a brother that a brother going to be like, oh, like, yes, sometimes some brothers need to hear it, right? Sometimes it's like, this is just too many hats you're wearing, and you're inflicting harm on folks that ain't got nothing to do with the hats you're wearing outside of this. So it depends on the space, depends on the time, depends on the capacity, depends on also if I have a Shane, if I have a you in those spaces that's like, yo, you good? Fall back. This ain't you right now. So it depends.
Okay. I'm glad that you said capacity, because it gets to a point where Black men that I've come in contact with, their capacity gets full and they may get stretched too thin. And it's like, hey, you might need somebody in your corner to be like, hey, bro, I'm just checking in on you.
Oh, God.
You good? And I feel like there's different ways you can say, because my mom and I do the same thing. Some different things, different ways you hear you good. And my mother heard me say it to a lot of people. And it's how you say it, when you say it, and who you saying it to. She's heard me say, you good? When she hears that, it's like I'm sincerely trying to reach out to you, like, you good. But then the other one is, you good?
Try somebody safer.
It depends on who you're talking to, and it's in certain spaces. And I think it's not a threatening way to say anything. It's just me saying, hey, bro, like, I see what you're doing. Are you good? Like, this is me checking you before you try to come over and check me. And I think that's one thing that we're missing as Black men. We don't keep each other accountable in certain spaces. We don't check on each other at any point. Like, I checking on you, you checking on me, and I think you keep me accountable. We're like, hey, bro, you're supposed to check in on me. Why are you? My bad. now it's on me. And I think that's the space that we definitely need to get back into, of just checking in on each other. Because when we don't, then what? That person may be gone. And it's like, my last words to him was 3 years ago.
Facts.
And that's why I always check in on people, because I want people to know my last words with you is, I love you. Those are my last words. And I want you to remember me saying that to you. It's not no fight. It's not this. It's not that. It's, I love you. I don't care if I know you or not. So in that space of your capacity and people getting I'm trying to get the best of you. What are some expectations that you have for yourself when it comes to Tamir Harper and who you see in the future? But then also, how do you overcome those expectations from other people that may say, Tamir Harper is this, Tamir Harper is that. We expect him to do this.
That's a battle that is still happening. To this day, right? As I'm going into teaching, some folks have other expectations for me. But I think for me, I am finding and still looking for the only expectation is joy, happiness, right? And joy and happiness, right, have so much, right? I won't be happy or joyful if I don't have a stable income, a place to live, et cetera, right? That's part of the nuances, right? Where I want to live a certain lifestyle. I know I have a lifestyle that I want to live because of the things I like to buy, right? So that comes in the joyfulness and happiness, but also it's just like the physical joyfulness, happiness, being able to run. And I shared with you before, like my dream is to one day be able to run a marathon. right? And work towards that. And, but also just like, what does happiness look like outside of work, right? I think oftentimes we as Black men, that we conflate joy with work, right? Am I working every day? Am I going to work? Am I getting a paycheck? Am I coming home? Is my bills paid? Is food in the fridge, etc., right? Yes, I want that, right? I'm not going to say I don't want that. But I want it outside of that. I want to figure out what more is there outside of this country, right? I think I've saw the skin of this country.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
What is outside of this place? Where are those dope, innovative spaces that I can be in that I don't feel taxed, that I don't have to tell folks Google is free and that my invoice will process. It's all of those things. I think those new expectations is like, man, what does happiness and joy looks like today, right? Because 22 now, right? Joy and happiness at 18 is way different from today. It probably will be different in 2 weeks. It might be that in 3 weeks that my only joy and happiness is I go to work every day. I go home. I can take a nap. I eat. I watch a movie. I graze paper. Like, it changes every day. Like, we're finding it each and every day for myself.
Okay, I feel you on that. And it gets to a point where your joy, like I said before, your joy comes with the journey. From what I'm seeing and what you just explained to me and what I'm hearing from you, it's going to be coming from the journey. So I appreciate you for allowing me to hear your potential journey and saying, I just want to be joyful in that journey. I don't have expectations for myself.
And that's new. That's new. It was, it was always a straight trajectory of like, you want to be superintendent. That is, when you reach there, you'll be happy. But how do you, man, I think I'm trying to get to a point where it's living day by day and figuring out what's something that day is going to bring me joy, right? Like, I text Priya right before this and was like, yo, can we play the game? We found these like 2-player games that you need each other to play. You can't play without each other. And I'm like, yo, let's play the game. I'm about to leave for 3 days. Won't see you. Like, let's just vibe out in the game for an hour or two. That's going to be the joy for the day, right? Grabbing brunch with Horace. That's going to be a joy for the day, right? Being on here talking to you, right? That's joy for the day. After that, I'm good. Nobody can make me mad when they beep the horn a day at me. We good now.
I hear you. I appreciate you for allowing me to see that joy, be a part of that joy. And I've been a part of the joy ever since I met you, because I've seen you smiling all the time. Then there's also joy in tears. There's also joy in frustration. So I've seen it all. And I appreciate you for allowing me to be in those spaces with you and just being a listening ear for you. I know a lot of people may look at you a certain way. They look at me a certain way. They look at Black men a certain way. So how would you want or like people to perceive Black men as a whole?
Two things come to mind, right? The first one is it takes people to really look inside themselves, right? In a home or space or like their life. Think of Black men as the most expensive thing that you own in your home that you don't want to break and don't want anyone to touch. That you think is royalty. I believe Black folk, Black men are royalty and are delicate, are expensive, and are shiny when we want to be, and dull when we want to be, and will flex and be the center of attention when we feel like it. But I also want people to think of it as that tree that you saw when it was small, and now it continued to grow, and now it is the tallest tree in the neighborhood. That people want to cut down, but not quite sure how to start cutting it. Where the leaves might fall off, but they grow back. That's black men.
Mm-hmm.
And some folks might be like, well, what do you mean by the tree that keeps growing and leaves fall off, right? We have our seasons.
Mm.
But even in those seasons of no leaves, we're still growing.
Yeah.
We're still figuring it out. Even when they prey on the downfall, right?
Mm-hmm.
You ain't cut the tree down. And when you cut the tree down, there's going to be another one growing. And when you cut the tree down, you're going to use the wood that you got from the tree to heat your home, to prop up some things. Black men are never going anywhere.
Yeah.
And that's what I want people to understand. So those two things are, when I think of that question, those are two things that come to my brain.
Mm. 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 It's just sometimes you just can't say nothing after that, because it's like, it was deep. The analogy was great, but then it also allows people to think.
Yeah.
Because when you say something like that, and now you're thinking, like, a tree does grow like that. The leaves do fall off at some point, but they grow back. And it's like, that was good, brother. I'm not, hey, it was good.
I worked on that one. I said it for a second. It was like,
hey, bro, it don't matter. It was let me take a few seconds. That was good, bro. Because you look at it and you just sit there and say, black men are in a process. They're in a season. What season are they in right now?
Facts.
Do you know? Because it's like, when it's winter, we like to bundle up.
Facts.
We don't like to be cold. When it's hot,
don't be near me.
It's hot. You're gonna see some legs. You're gonna see some arms. You're gonna see muscles. You're gonna see X, Y, and Z. But then it's also, you got those months where it's not too hot, it's not too cold. That's when we're our best selves, when it comes to be honest, because it's like, I can wear my jeans, I can wear a top, I can do this, I can do that, I can adjust this, I can adjust that. And I think black men being in those seasons, it's not just those four.
X.
There's other seasons in this space of black manhood. I call it from the cradle to the cane. And when you look at it, those are those seasons. So when you say the cradle, you got this young black boy who's paying attention, observing. They don't talk. They just observing the people that's around them. Then you get to that age of, okay, he's talking now. He's doing this. He's doing that. Then you got that other phase where it's like, okay, I'm smelling myself. I'm getting a little taller, getting a little bigger. Might be taller than my dad. Might not be.
Facts.
And then you get to a stage of, I'm somewhat coming into my grown man stage. And then it gets to, I'm grown. And then it gets to, now I'm a dad. I'm a husband. Like that phase. And then it gets to, I'm a grandfather, great grandfather. I don't say to the grave, because I don't talk about that. I don't talk about black men dying. Yes, we will die at some point. But I want us to enjoy that phase in that season and go into the grave saying, I did all that I had to do. So I appreciate you for taking the time to answer that question, because we had a lot of brothers take their time on that specific one. We had a lot say, we just want black men to be seen as human. And the way you explained it, it's allowing us to be human, allowing us to have pitfalls, allowing us to mess up, allow us to reconfigure ourselves, and then get built back up again. Because like you said, we warm your homes, we prop this up, we do this, we do that. And when you cut one down, another one's coming. And I
Facts.
think that's the space that I would love to ask you some questions about when it comes to the younger generation and the older generation. I mean, you
Yeah.
know why this podcast started. I saw tension between the older generation and the younger generation. Like I would hear you say, "We got to do this, we got to do that, we got to do this." You got the old way like, "We got to do this, we got to do that." I'm like, y'all saying the same thing.
But don't want to agree.
Don't want to connect. Now I got to be the one in the middle, be like, "Hey, I'm gonna step out the way. I know both of y'all. Y'all need to talk."
Facts.
So in this space of, I call it woke, wealth of knowledge. It's the space of providing advice to either the older generation or the younger generation to say, hey, you either need to listen more, you need to understand more. So what space as far as what advice can you give the older generation or the younger generation to, stop the tension, not just the tension, but just to understand each other?
There's an opportunity for both to learn from each other, right? I probably would say to them is that I'm gonna use our OGs that's using the cane, right, from Cradle to Cane.
Yeah.
You would listen to your grandchildren when they say something is wrong, when they feel hurt, right? You want to respond when they say I need some money or I'm hungry, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want you to listen and respond to every young person with the same love and care that you'll respond to your grandchildren or even your children.
Yeah.
For the younger folk like myself, it's sharing what we need and occupying a space of learning and sharing of knowledge. Because you can learn from the OG that's on the cane as they talk about the recession they experienced.
Mm-hmm.
And you can share what is happening today and what you're learning and how we mix those two together to move forward, right?
Yeah.
You have to have a foundation, right? Staying in the house, you got to have the foundation, right? We couldn't build this house without a foundation. But then you needed the bricks to make the levels. So let the older generation be that foundation. You be the brick. And let them be the cement that makes the brick go together. That's the piece of that. That's what I want the generation to, and I still struggle with it, I'm not going to lie. But that's the goal. That's the hope. That is the one thing I would share.
Okay. I hear you. One thing I would like to add to that space, I've said a lot to some other brothers, even brothers that I know, some brothers that I don't know. I said there will be a door. I have different doors that I express to other brothers. There will be doors that you come towards that are not for you, but you have the key. You have to open it. It's not for you to walk through. It's for you to allow them to walk through. Then there's some doors that you may go up to. You can see through. That's your door to go through. You can see right through it. It's a glass door. You can see what's ahead, but you can't open it yet. You're not ready for what's ahead yet. So go back, train, do what you got to do. And when you get to that door, somebody will be waiting for you to open it for you. Then you have the revolving door. That door where it's like, I like what's ahead, but let me come back because I still need to train some more. Let me go forward because now you get steps ahead. Then you have the other door that's closed, but you can't see anything. But there is a wedge in that door.
Yeah.
You may not be able to open it, but that young king, he's strong enough to rip that door open for you to go through.
Facts.
So from what you hear, from what I'm saying right now, is like we all need help at some point.
Oh God.
At some point, we all need some help. I've said on other occasions too. We can all eat. We can all eat. We just have to know some tables are not for us. Some tables are for other people. This table right here is for me. But if you know how to get to those tables, or you know how to get to the other house that may have better tables, send them that way. If I know where the kitchen at and Tamir like, well, that kitchen not, too good. You've already been through that kitchen. And you're allowing me to hear from you. You can check that little hole that you can peep through. You can check if you don't believe me, but I trust you and you're going to allow me to go over here.
Yep.
But then it's also, hey, that's not for you, bro. Like, dead serious, you can say that's not for you. And I have to trust that. It's not. It may be somebody else's. You got the opportunity to connect with these people, do this and do that. That's not your lane. Young King, this is your lane. Come over here. You want to be an alpha? Well, I got 4 of them right here. So go talk to them. Because I got some people that said, oh, you should be an alpha. You should be a kappa. I got family on both sides, bro. And it's like, okay, I could be in the middle. I love all y'all. I said, I'll make my own. How about that? How about that, dude? Just make my own.
Figure it
and
out.
I can still love y'all. I appreciate you for saying what you said as far as the foundation, because the one thing I do want to add is you also got to have that roof over your head. That can be our ancestors putting that roof over our head to say, look, I'm going to block everything. You may experience some things, you may see some things, but some things I will block for you. And then those that are living in the house, those are the young people that we got to protect at some point, because we do have that white picket fence around this house. And we also got to remember it's a woman at Arcadia that I love dearly, Dr. Lowry. She's hosted the Black Male Development Symposium. The man you see right now, besides my mother, I would say those 2 women are the ones that molded the person that you see right now. As far as black men, Dr. Lowry. As far as my confidence, my mother and my family and the pride that I have in my last name. But Dr. Lowry, she allowed us to get a better understanding of who we were and allowed us to be us. And I think for her, she always said, there's some things you can let in, but not everything. There's some things that you can let go outside the gate, but you also have to let them back in. Because some people we may forget and just say, hey, well, they gone. They got their money. They did this. They did that. Okay, you never heard of the prodigal son? I'm not going to sit there and say something else, but I'm going to just say prodigal daughter. Like, you have some people that leave and have to figure some things out on their own.
Yeah.
And then they come back like, look, this is what I've learned. This is what I've failed at. Now they're allowed to come back in the house and tell these young people, look, this is what's going on. Those are the spaces that we also need too. As far as allowing like yourself come into a space of some young people sit there and say, well, this is what I've been through. This is the trauma that I've seen as a black man. You may experience some, but I do not want you to.
Facts.
So I appreciate you for allowing me, because I'm a visual learner, allowing me to see that foundation and allowing me to add our ancestors on top as far as the roof, and then that white picket fence may just be those blockers that are the strong ones that's like, we here for whatever. Sometimes you need them. Sometimes you need them. So we're going to move into this space of this question I ask every brother, because it's something that's dear to me, that I just want to see more of us grow together as black men. So what's one thing black males can do to grow together?
One thing we can do to grow together. I'll probably go in the direction of fighting and advocating with each other, right? That's who I am at the root of myself, right? As an advocate, right? How do we advocate for each other, right? We say something in the frat, and some people I've heard say it outside. fight until hell freezes over and be ready to dance on the ice. Right? That's that one thing, right? We advocate for a lot of things. How do we advocate for ourselves and Blackness and Black men and having Black spaces? But also, when you have leaves on your tree and somebody don't have any leaves on theirs, when you see one is trying to cut down a branch, how do you stand up? How do you show up? How do you say, well, I don't have the capacity, but let me call my other brother over here that tree got some more branches, just as many leaves that can go shield this other brother from that trauma so that they don't have to, like you said, relive these same experiences, allow the ancestors to cover and be the white picket fence for whoever's with it, right? Those are the two, and I know you said one, right? But I grew up in a Baptist church that when the pastor sometimes say they about to sit down, but they keep going. So I took the liberty of two things that I would share that we can hopefully grow together, how we can grow together.
I love that. Because I'm going to add to the we can all eat. I said this to another brother. I was on his podcast, Black Mental Health. And when I said we can all eat, I was saying, brother, you don't got to just dig on my plate. If you see me still eating, that mean I ain't done. But also
don't count my plate either.
Don't count my plate. If you see me struggling to finish my food and you say, hey bro, I see you not done yet. Do you need any help? Now it's on me to not be prideful, not to have an ego and sit here and say, brother, I cannot finish this. Do you want to rest?
Facts.
So I commend you for saying what you said and standing up for somebody else, because then it's also when there's a brother that's next to you that you know that he's not at his seat yet or he didn't get to the party yet and his food is on the table and you see somebody trying to come and get his plate. Do you block that plate or do you say, hey, somebody's sitting here?
When you got that brother that's using the cane or the brother that's crawling over, cradle the cane.
How do you advocate for them too?
Facts.
You got to say somebody's not here yet, so we're holding this seat for them. They're coming to the table, and it may be a kiddie table at some point too. That some of us may still be at, because I've had some people that I know. You say you got some grown boys. They haven't. They're living in the space of they're grown, but they're still living as a young man. They still have an understanding of this is still what I want to do. They're not living to their full potential yet. So they have to be at this table. But they see us. But then it's on us to go to that table too.
Don't just
not stand around it. Because now you're standing over them. You got to sit with them. Because I've seen some young men, I've seen in schools as well. I've sat down on the ground with some young people because they was crying. So I sat down. I'm not sitting there standing over them, talking to them like, why are you doing it? No, I'm sitting with you because you need somebody in your space right now.
Facts.
Not to sit there and tell you what to do. But when I say I commend you for what you said, I mean it, because that's facts. When somebody about to cut my tree branch down and I'm not able to see, I can't see behind me. I can't see above me. But the only thing I can see is right here. But it's on you. It's on other Black men. It's on myself for you and other Black men to sit there and say, hey, he's not done yet.
Facts.
Like, we can't do that. So thank you for allowing me to hear that. Before we go, I do want you to elevate some things that you are doing as far as teaching, as far as Alpha Man, personal life, anything that you have. I want you to elevate and plug social media, all that, bro.
Yeah, man. First, thanks for this conversation, right? This is, I didn't listen to church this morning. I think I had the sermon I needed without even having to open the Holy Book. I think one of the things that I would plug is that my focus now is ensuring that everyone understand that teaching is social justice, that teaching is political, and teaching is a fight for freedom. And any way I can support that work, right? Any way I can wear that hat, the hat that I enjoy wearing, right? That's a hat I enjoy wearing. When I'm excited to be in front of my students and they don't even know me yet, I am geeking out on reading lessons and planning with, it's a little crazy. But if I'm able to wear that hat, if I'm able to be supported, if you had Elijah on here as well, if you're a Black man that's in politics, interested in politics, and you just want to vibe out and geek out of what's happening, and specifically, I'm a fan of local, so Philly or Pennsylvania politics, I'm down for that. Mm-hmm. My handles on all social media are my name, Tamir D. Harper. My website is tamirdharper.com. Email is tamirdharper@gmail.com. Socials are open for now, but I have been highly recommended to fit them on private as soon as I introduce myself to the student. So I won't have an Abbott Elementary moment. But nah, man, this is the joy. This is happiness. This is the space that we often don't have to elevate, listen, vibe, and highlight Black men, right? If you don't know about the oldest and coldest and baddest fraternity of them all, I welcome a conversation with you. If you got questions about Divine Nine and what we're doing, how we have impact, I'm open to that. We develop leaders. We promote brotherhood and love for all mankind. And that's the work we do, and that's the work I hope to embody as we move forward. So, good brother, it's been a good vibe, man. I can't wait to actually now listen back to this and remember everything I said. Because when you're in these business, you just go on. But nah, man, I appreciate you.
No problem, brother. I appreciate you too. I want to thank everybody for listening, all the brothers that's out there that's listening, our Black sisters that's listening as well. In best ways you can support your man as well, your brother, your father, uncle, friend. I do want you to follow us on Instagram and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Urban Thinker Media, and also go to our website at www.urbanthinkermedia.com. We have some projects that are coming up soon. Tamir may be a part of some. He doesn't know that yet, but he knows that now. He knows I love this brother. And we'll see you all next time with another brother here on the Middle Brother Podcast. Peace.